As we reported on Monday, Jamaicans can look forward to number portability as of June 1, 2015. This initiative is part of the government's push to liberalize the telecoms industry. Technology Minister Philip Holwell mentioned how these continued improvements will be reflected in the consumers' pockets.
When we started this effort at opening the market, we were looking at rates in excess of 100 Jamaican dollars per minute for basic call rates and also international rates in that category. We are pleased that we are seeing those rates plummeting, even with the devaluation of the currency, to less than 10 Jamaican dollars per minute. And we anticipate that this will add to that further, and we will see further reductions coming from this.
But how exactly does porting work? Director of Post and Telecommunications in the Technology Ministry, Cecil McCain, explained the process for mobile and landline customers.
One of the first things that all customers are going to need to do is that they're going to need to visit the facility of a service, of what we call a recipient service provider. On visiting that recipient service provider, you would then they would then be advised of all of the various responsibilities of the service providers and the responsibilities of customers as it relates to all issues relating to number portability. You would then be asked to fill out a form, an order form, and that form is going to be a physical form, but of course it will be inputted online. And once that form is submitted, you'll be then asked to, if you're a mobile customer, you'll be asked to text a number to a number, I believe it is 444 port, that number will be. You'll be asked to text a number, text port to that number, and that text will actually validate the porting process with the number portability administrator.
The porting of numbers will be strictly regulated for both the consumers and telecoms providers. Chief Technology Director in the Science and Technology Ministry, Joaquin Murray, says this will not be a free-for-all.
For 90 days, you'll have to stay with the person to whom you have ported. So you're going to be barred, at least.
But if you're not satisfied, you can go back.
But that's after 90 days. After 90 days, because what we're trying to avoid is a strain on the system where people are just jumping back and forth and trying to just get, maybe bargains from one person might offer and then the other person might offer. And the other thing that we've completely blocked as well, and it's in the regulations, is what we call win-back strategies. So a provider can't know that you're planning to port, particularly if you're a customer with a lot of numbers, and then they start to see numbers leaving and they go, oh my gosh, I'm losing this customer, and then come up with some wonderful tactic or proposal to have you remain. That is disallowed as well. Once the customer has determined in their mind, has indicated in writing that they're porting, and that's the mechanism for the form, then that customer becomes, and the numbers are what we call out of bounds, meaning the donor, the provider that they're leaving, cannot attempt to keep them.
Ms. Murray adds that there are stiff penalties for the providers if they do not adhere to the new regulations.
Under the Telecommunications Act, the OUR can issue directives and orders which have to be complied with. Failure to do so can result in fines, and I think the fines run in excess of millions of dollars. Additionally, there is always the option for the regulator to make a recommendation to the minister for suspension or revocation of license. And we need to appreciate that when you invest in a business, particularly telecoms, it's not something that you want to necessarily lose. And so if a recommendation is made by the OUR to the minister to revoke or suspend licenses, it means that you can't, well, for the suspended period, do business. And then certainly if it's revoked, it means you can't operate. So the consequences of a revocation or suspensions are severe.